Today, we're going to have a coaching call with Mary. Her main issue is finding a purpose for her life. Welcome to Richer Soul, your journey to a more purposeful, intentional, amazing life. Where are you going to go and how are you going to get there? Let's figure that out together. At the core is financial well-being to be able to do what you want, when you want, how you want. It's about personal freedom and abundance. At the core is knowing your purpose, and today we're going to talk with Mary and help her find it at 61 years old. In earlier episodes, I offered a free coaching call to people who would be willing to have their calls recorded and shared. That offer is now over. However, I still will offer a 50% discount on an initial private session to anyone who signs up between now and June 30th. Over the next few weeks, you'll be able to listen to some of the people who took advantage of the offer. Today it's Mary. Let's meet her. Hi, Mary. Welcome to Richer Soul. We're glad to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, and I appreciate you being here. And congrats on reaching out and trying something to change your life. It's like leaping with a parachute because you really can't get hurt to have a conversation that may change your life.
Exactly.
So, Mary, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to this point in your life?
I'm 61 years old. I have two grown children, 31 and 35, a boy and a girl. I grew up in North Carolina with my grandparents. I've kind of lived all over the United States, in Chicago and Texas, California, Atlanta, and now South Carolina. I went back to school at the age of 36. And at that point, I was diagnosed with non-estrogen receptor breast cancer, had a massive radical mastectomy, but was able to finish school because I told my parents at that time, you know, if something happens to me, just bury my degree with me because I'm going to finish school. So after graduating, got a good engineering job, kind of moved us around, did pretty well. And then my daughter's junior year in high school, the company I was working for was moving most of my activities overseas. And because she was going to be a senior that year, I chose not to go. At that point, I wasn't old enough to retire. I had to continue working and just kind of went in a different direction. I started working as a certified pharmacy technician. I've done that for the last 12 years or so and done very well. Moved from Chicago to South Carolina due to illness. My father, he subsequently passed year before last, 2 years ago in September. And here I am, divorced again, 61, and still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
And that's quite all right. I think a lot of us have difficulty with this, and it's something that not enough people talk about. And I don't think there's enough resources that have been out there in the past to help people to find their purpose. And it's good that you're 61 and still waiting to grow up. That means you must have had a wonderful life, right?
I really have. I just kind of done some of everything, construction work and delivered the newspaper and dipped ice cream and worked in a water waste treatment plant, operated a forklift at a warehouse. I learned to operate heavy equipment. You name it, not very many jobs I haven't tried because I always tell people, as long as it's not brain surgery and somebody's life depends on it, I am open to trying anything.
That's impressive. There's a lot of people who have fear, who aren't willing to try something new. And it sounds like you're open to it and you're constantly trying new things and you've had a ton of different experiences.
Yeah, I've really been blessed to be able, like I say, just to kind of do a lot of things throughout my life. that make me a master of anything, which at this point in my life, I think, well, maybe if I knew how to do something really, really well, I wouldn't feel so lost. But I've always liked the fact that I know how to do a lot of little things.
Absolutely. And if you can take the little things and kind of connect them all together, it makes you have a unique and different angle. You can bring different stories to different situations that others may not have seen because they don't have that breadth of knowledge and that breadth of experience that you do. And so I think it was Henry Ford, they say he invented the assembly line for the autos, but it's not really true. He saw something else being used in a different industry, and he brought that knowledge from one industry to another industry, and that made him successful. So you've got that breadth of knowledge across a lot of different industries that you can bring to people and share different insights that they might not have considered in the past.
That sounds hopeful.
So let's cover a little bit with finances. I did go through some of your finances. You've got some retirement savings. As of now, you're clearly living within your means. No issues there. You're getting close to Social Security age in the sense that you can start pulling out some retirement dollars there. And I know we had some questions about that. So you know what your Social Security numbers are, and a lot of people have questions. Do I take it early? Do I take it when I'm supposed to? Or do I delay it? And I think you had some questions around that.
Yeah, I am living within my means, but it doesn't leave very much left at the end of nothing. You know, I do nothing social right now. Usually I get off on Fridays, I come home, and besides church, I stay home the whole weekend because I'm really afraid to spend any money for fear I'll need extra gas or something to take my mother somewhere. And so my question is, for my situation, is it better to start to take an early withdrawal at 62 next year so I can somewhat augment my income now, or wait until I'm 66 and a half and take it?
So one of the things that happens is if you take Social Security early, there is actually an income threshold. And if you make more than the income threshold, then you are going to be taxed. And I think it's $1 for every 3 that you make over that amount. So I'm going to see if I can quickly see what the income threshold is for retirement. And off the top, I thought it was around 15 or 16,000. Yeah, so it's about 14. I think it's about $18,000. And so if you make more than that, you will actually have to, the annual limit is $16,920. If you make more than that, you actually have to pay back, and that might not even be the right rule. You actually have to pay taxes on your excess earnings because Social Security is supposed to be for when you're retired. And if you're working, then they don't assume you're retired.
Okay.
So I will try and get back to you in an email with the specifics. What that means is you may have to wait till you're retired because your income may make it not worthwhile. So that now brings up the second question, and that is, do you continue to work and take your Social Security even later at 70 and a half? And that's a question for you. You can sit down and we can probably offline, I can probably help you with a couple of the numbers and show you what the different scenarios look like and how they will forecast out. And then that gives you the ability to make the correct decision knowing your numbers.
Okay.
And that's one thing, as people are listening, when you're making a financial decision, you've got to sit down, understand the rules, know your numbers, plot them out, and see what they look like so that you can make sure that you're making the appropriate decision. So we'll take that offline, and I'll follow up with you on that.
Okay, thanks.
So let's shift back and let's talk a little bit more about your purpose and see where you want to go. And so if we were going to sit down in 3 years from now, what has to happen for you personally, professionally, and financially to be satisfied with your progress?
Let's see. Personally, I guess I just want to create a life for myself that I don't need a vacation from. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but so that includes, I guess, having being financially secure enough to take care of all needs and a few wants. Because I've traveled and I've done a lot in my life, and so at this point, while I still enjoy those things, they're not things I have to do. I've lived in a 3,000 square foot house. I've driven, $60,000 cars, and I've just done all the things that society teaches you is success. And while I enjoyed them and my children benefited from them, they've not been all they've been cracked up to be. So now here living, in a sleepy little town in the South, I like driving my mother to the beach, sitting around for the day. I like sharing a wisdom that I've learned over the years with the young girls that I work with. I like being a positive influence in somebody's life to encourage them that you can do anything you set your mind to it, because when you can live with the worst thing that will happen in a situation, you can always move forward. So I don't know what that translates to into a purpose, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. Just sharing who I am, my experiences, funds enough to eat and buy gas and buy a birthday present when I want to. And from an emotional standpoint, feeling like everything I've done in this life can help push somebody else forward to what they can be in life where they otherwise may not have been able to see it.
So what's preventing you from doing all of that now?
Well, I don't know what that translates into. I mean, what is that? A school teacher? Is it a counselor? I mean, you understand? I don't know how to translate knowing a little bit about a lot of things. I guess I don't know how to translate that into anything other than somebody sitting somewhere thinking, man, she just knows something about everything. She thinks she know everything. You know what
I do. And so there's a variety of different ways to do it practically. And it's not to say anyone is right or wrong. It's just about finding that path. So you said you belong to a church. Is there a group within your church where you can get together with young people and have these kinds of conversations and mentor them?
Well, that's a possibility. I guess I always think younger members that we have a singles ministry, and I never got involved in that just because of the age difference. But yeah, because those girls are about the same age as my daughter and other girls I work with who seem fairly receptive to things I have to share.
Exactly. And so that might be one opportunity for you to start having the conversations and being able to do some of the things that you want to do. Another option, I don't know if you've ever thought about blogging and telling people.
Actually, I have. I've been reading up on that the last month or so, and I guess I'm hung up now what even to call it, so I could get a website and get started. But yeah, I do, because I think about all the conversations we have at work every day, and it's like, oh, I could write about this subject, and I got a list of topics I've been kind of writing on already. But I think sometimes I let the little things hang me up, and I don't know if that's the procrastinator in me or what.
So we all have a bit of procrastinator in us. That's no doubt the case. But there are opportunities. It sounds like you have the ideas, and a lot of times the biggest hurdle is the smallest first step. It's a lot harder to go from 0 to 80 than it is to go from 80 to 100. It's getting going that seems to be one of the most difficult things for people. And it sounds like that may be one of the things that you are facing. A couple things on those lines. So there are a variety of ways to get started without even starting your own website.
Okay.
There's sites like Quora, and on Quora, people ask questions, and they're on a million different topics, and you can get on there and just start writing answers. And what that does is it just gives you practice of doing what you're looking to do in the future. So that's another place to do it. And then I know you're part of where we connected was through the Dream Builders Academy, correct?
Correct.
So right within there, you have tons of people who are probably begging for help and looking for someone to help them. Why not spend time in that community helping them?
Okay. Well, I guess I thought I need help just like they do about things. And I don't, you just don't count your own experiences worth sharing sometimes, but that's what I think I'd like to do. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm writing everything down.
Now, so here's a question. If you spent your day helping people, whether it be blogging or through church or through other things, would you feel like you want to take a vacation from that? Or is that something that you would enjoy doing for the rest of your life?
I think I could do that. I could do that from now on. Because that seems to be all I've ever done anyway. Even in the work environment, in my church environment, and just always giving advice and always explaining some concept or how this part of this works and where you go to find that. I guess that's why I work in research on my job now. I've always done, that seems to be all I've ever done. Because I tell people I don't have any other particular talents except the gift of gab.
I'm sure you have plenty of other talents. The thing is that we don't realize our own talents. So how is the feedback that you get from people when you give them advice and so forth? Do they listen? Do they follow? What happens?
Usually, and somebody will always say, "Oh, Miss Mary, you need to do a class. Oh, Mary, you need to write a book. Oh, Mary, you need, they always come up with some form or some way for me to share whatever it is I just told them because they think lots of other people want to know it. And so that's why I thought about the blog. That would be a way to share. But like I said, I haven't gone all the way with that.
That's absolutely true. When you talk to people, is it centered around certain areas or does it cover a variety of topics? So when they say you should make a class, are they usually talking about the same thing or are they talking about different things?
Just life in general, different things.
Okay.
The other day, we talked, I think, like 3 or 4 different topics. Somebody was asking about should they pay a service to help their credit score. And so I shared with them that I was in the Dream Builders group, and there are lots of things you can do on your own. And I'll invite you to the group, and they have letters you can write yourself. You don't have to pay anybody. And then somebody else was talking about some craft project. And so she was trying to figure out how to put 2 items together. And I said, buy you one of those. Oh, what is the glue? Not the glue gun. Oh, I can't even think of the word now. But anyway, whatever it was, I came up with the answer then. And so that's when somebody said, Miss Mary, is there anything you don't know? I said, honey, there's plenty I don't know, even though I try to know as much as I can. But when you don't try, just imagine how much you won't know when you leave this world. So I read a lot and I've done a lot. And so those are the kinds of things. I mean, just any little topic somebody comes up with, if it's something I haven't done or experienced, I'm the first one to jump on Bing or Google and find out. Like, I learned the word fupa last week. I had never known. There's a girl at work, she had the stomach tightening surgery. And so she has a lot of skin and a pouch in the front. She told me, she said, this has a name. I said, really? And so I looked it up, and it's called fupa. And so now that's what she talks about, her fupa. She said, I never would have been able to find that. I always tell people, use this Jeopardy kinds of answers that might answer a specific question for somebody, but I'm just thinking the general public is really not interested in this. And so I just never follow up.
You have to narrow down and in and find out what particular area do you enjoy talking about and that you have knowledge in and that you would do regardless of whether you made money, and start focusing in on that and start, whether it be answering questions in person, through church, on certain websites, the Dream Builders, or creating your own website. All of those things can happen together, apart, but they're all steps forward.
Okay. And so now then my question is, what kinds of things, I don't want to say do I think about, but how do I narrow it down? Because I really think I'm ADHD when it comes to topics. I can just get so distracted and swayed. I'm looking for one thing and I find something else and I write it down. And so I would really like to narrow down. You mean like either relationships or living life or finances, or those are kind of topics you mean?
Absolutely. Any of those topics. You clearly know how to live at a variety of different income levels. You've lived large, you live small now. You understand a lot about how having the big house and the fancy car doesn't bring happiness. You also know how to live on a low income budget. So these are all things that you can share, and you bring your voice and you talk about it. And you might test some different ones and see which ones stick and which ones resonate within the community.
Okay. All right.
So once you start to do that, and you start to build an audience and you start to have success, now your audience can be in person. So you can run something through your church. Your audience can be online. And over time, once you figure out who you're speaking to and what you're speaking about, then you can start to think about writing the book or creating a class or doing something along those lines, because that will then bring the revenue stream back to you. But it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow morning. We won't have a decision. I'm going to write about this today, and next weekend I'm making money. This will take time. And as long as you know the direction that you're going, then you have the ability to do that. You're somewhat lucky in that in today's world, we do have the internet. You have the ability to speak to the whole world, and you have the ability to find a small niche of that whole world and make them your audience. So you've got to sit down and say, what are the things I love? You tell me, what are the things that you love to think about, share about, talk about?
Let's see. I think I'm more focused on relationships, not just men and women, but family and children and friends. If I had to pick a topic that I spend more time talking about, then that would be the one.
Okay. So now we have a topic. It's relationships. And we're going to start sharing Mary's view on relationships and how she can help people. So if we were to talk about relationships, what are 3 things that I need to know from Mary about how to have good relationships with my family and my kids?
First thing I would say is not be fearful to always tell the truth, because I find that most conflict and areas of disagreement come out of me saying something, you not understanding what I say. And so now we're both upset because I didn't say it straightforward. I kind of, as my grandma used to say, went around Robin Hood's barn to go across the street. So if people aren't fearful of telling, straightforward truth, then they could avoid a lot of conflict that you have between people in relationships. The second thing.
Well, hang on. Let's dig into this. What prevents people from being willing to tell the truth?
Fear more than anything else. Fear of how the other person's going to take it. Fear of saying the truth. We're taught in business and in every genre of our life to be nice when you say things. And usually, and it's just my own style, people just say, because Miss Mary just tells it like it is, because I just don't have the energy to sugarcoat things anymore. And I guess sometimes I'm not politically correct about saying things. It is what it is. And we can discuss it if you want, but in my opinion, I'm going to just share it because I'm not afraid to say what I'm thinking. The consequence of that is you may get angry. People don't want to lose relationships for whatever reason. And so they don't tell the truth all the time. And then a lot of times people just don't know, again, like I said, how to say what they want to say without that fear and the repercussions of damaging.
Do you think you could provide people with a framework of how to say things in difficult situations and help them overcome their fear?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do that a lot now, especially on the job when I work with a quality coordinator. He listens to calls. And the other day he said, Mary, I need to tell an associate that either she needs to get this verbiage right on these calls or she's going to get fired. He said, but I can't say it like that. I said, so you go to her, you let her listen to the call, and then you ask what she thinks about it. If she doesn't think anything is wrong about it, ask her to listen at the call and look at what our specifications are about particular calls, because we do have scripts that we are to adhere to. And then at some point, you'll have to say, you're going to have to deliver your calls according to this script, or there are going to be some consequences that I won't be able to help you with. He was satisfied with that, and he went and had the little conversation. I asked him how it went. He said, I think she got the message. And I said, why was that so hard? And he said, well, because I didn't want to tell her she was going to get fired. I said, but if it's the truth, you don't think you need to let people know that
when they're making decisions about what they do, what the consequences are. He said, yeah, but I just didn't want to say you're going to get fired. I said, well, did she understand that there are going to be some consequences regarding employment? He said, well, that's exactly what I said, and she got it. So that's, yeah, I do that all the time.
It sounds like you're an expert. It sounds like you know how to tell people how to do these things, and it's in there. You just got to get it out. You got to get it down on paper or out on the internet. So I'm going to show you a niche thing. You talked about call centers. You talked about dealing with employees and dealing with training. I bet you somewhere out there's a group of people who manage call centers who have discussions in some forum who would love to hear your insights in that specific little niche of how you get your employees to follow and get along and do what they're supposed to in that specific area.
Oh, look at you.
And that creates the niche. And you're living it every day, so you're there. Now you can also go to your employer and say, hey, look, I know you have all these people and all these things. Why don't you promote me and let me be the person who helps you and trains your managers to deal with conflict resolution and have these conversations?
That sounds so good, right? You make it sound so easy.
When we sit down and we think about it and we open a couple of doors and look at the same exact problem from a whole different angle, it becomes easy. It becomes so much easier to do. The problem is nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to come up to Mary and say, Mary, you're great at this. Why don't you go do that? Because they're all fearful. Just like you started with. It's the same thing.
Right.
So you've got plenty of opportunities here. You've got opportunity within your job to get more money. You've got opportunities within your church to help people. And the more you help the manager, the more he likes you, the better your income's going to go.
That's true. Oh, I wish you could see me smiling. Oh, I don't know. You did. It's like you turned the light bulb on.
And that is exactly what coaching is all about. It's about turning light bulbs on. It's allowing you to see your situation from a different light and see how, everyone thinks that the difference between success and failure is this big, wide gap. It's not. It's small, teeny little things. And all we did was talk about some very small little things that are going to allow you to flip over.
This is so cool. I heard you. Oh God, this is so good. I'm just so tickled because that never would have popped in my mind. And I'll tell you one reason is because when you go to school and you train yourself in a specific discipline and you ever come out of that for whatever reason, like I said, I made a conscious choice not to move my daughter her senior high school year. But that meant now taking a job outside of my trained discipline. And when you start working, and I'm going to say a lower intellect level, not meaning you're still not smart or people aren't smart that do the things I've done, people start to make you forget, or you allow yourself to forget the kinds of things you've done. I did the same thing. I did executive training. I did management training as head of my design engineering department. And that just eluded me till just a minute ago when you said that. It's like, well, maybe you've already done this. What's the problem? I've done conflict management seminars at the church when I lived in Chicago, because church people tend to be the people who avoid conflict more so than even in the workplace, because everybody wants it to appear they have nice Christian attitudes and they like everybody when really they don't. And so there gets to be this undercurrent in groups. And so, I thank you. Mm.
You have it all within you. I know you can do all of this. You have it all. You just have to go do it.
I got to step out of my fear. It's like conversations I have with people I've noticed since I've been here. And again, no detriment to anybody that I work with or anything else, but I've noticed I've had to dumb down my conversation. I noticed I have to find a word that everybody in the group will understand. Even when I write, I go back and look for a much simpler word than I would normally use, because you don't want to appear to be, I don't even know how to describe it. You just don't want people to think you're trying to be all that. And you step out of what you know. In this era of so many educated people losing positions, I think we do develop a certain level of fear about really being who we are.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to step out of my fear today.
That's awesome. So let's get down to where the rubber meets the road. What's the first step you're going to take?
The first step I'm going to take is to sit down and think about some of the issues that I've seen in my workplace and bring some clarity and organization to my own mind, and work on a plan about how those could be addressed more effectively, and then try to figure out a way to quantify that effectiveness, because that's the bottom line for business, is how does this translate into us making more money or maintaining our position in the marketplace or whatever. That would be the first step for me. It's just getting some clarity in my own mind about my focus. What I'd like to do, whether it's in church or in business or even from a personal standpoint.
I want to be clear. At the beginning, don't feel like you have to pick one of those. So you can do it in a three-prong approach. You can do it in business, and you can do it in church. You can do both. You have the time. You said you're sitting around all weekend, so you have the weekend to do it in church, and you have the week to do it at work. You can try two different strategies at the same time to see which one works better.
Okay.
So it's not this or that. It's this and that.
This and that. Okay.
How long will it take you to sit down and think through these choices?
Just a couple of days. Like I said, usually I like to write out stuff and then pull away from it for about 24 hours and then go back and look at it again to see if it says what I want it to say, or if I thought of anything else, because I carry a notebook everywhere I go, and I'm always writing things down, because sometimes driving or just sitting around, things come to me. So just, like by Wednesday or Thursday, I would have a clear focus of what this kind of looks like to me.
So let's give it 7 days, just so that you're not rushed. I like people to have space. So 7 days, we're going to think about these different ideas, and you're going to come up with some strategies. What's the next step after that?
Well, first thing I could do, I know we're having Women's Week at our church in June, and they're offering workshops and classes. Go ask to be one of the workshop holders.
There we go. So we've got a workshop in June. What about an idea for work?
An idea for work.
A next step.
I probably would take say not my manager. Well, maybe my manager and her manager asked to have lunch with them and just talk through, ask them to listen. I have an idea I want to talk through with you and tell me how you feel about it.
That's awesome. And it's smart that you think that way. And I think a lot of people are fearful to go have a conversation with their manager and their manager's manager and say, I have an idea. Tell me what you think. A lot of people won't do that. They won't take that step. It's very fearful. The fact that you came up with that and you're willing to do that's amazing. So you've got an excellent second step there. Now, both of these steps require someone else to agree. Let's say we don't get agreement on either side. What's another step that we can take that we don't have to depend on anyone else to say yes to us?
Figure out a way to deliver the information on my own.
Do you know forums and places that you're already familiar with, both from a personal and a work standpoint, that you might be able to access and start doing that?
Personal, yes. Work, maybe not. Maybe not.
So can you find one for work?
Sure. There are places like LinkedIn and a few other areas that I can get feedback on from my connections.
So who else that you know of can help you achieve this success?
Who else do I know of? You mean personally?
Personally, or even second connections. So it might be someone's a friend of a friend.
Personally, I know quite a few women in HR positions around the country. I know I have friends in different disciplines I can reach out to and offer to do for their church or their workplace. I think I know about a half a dozen people I can reach out to that I've connected with over the years.
Okay, so
that know me well enough and know my standards of working that I wouldn't have to sell myself. They already know who I am.
Excellent. So if we go for days 8 through 14, just reach out to all these different people.
Reach out to connections. Okay. All right.
When you reach out, keep it short and simple to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to overwhelm people, think they have to sign up for something big. So short and sweet, simple emails. Don't be discouraged if people don't respond. People are busy. You can always send a reminder and see what happens. So we're going to be making some connections. You're going to be coming up with clarity of some of the areas you can help people. Sounds like there's a possibility for a class in June, and you'll see what happens at work. What else do you think we need to do to be successful at this?
What else do I need to do? I don't know, Rocky.
It's okay.
This is all. What else do what I need to do? I don't know. I mean, this is enough right here.
And that's fine. If this is enough, then this is good. And now we have a start.
Okay. Yeah, this is Yeah, this is going to take some swallowing and prayer and go just to move forward with the next 2 weeks. Because it's so different, I guess, from the way I was thinking just even an hour ago. And I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I'm sitting here looking at my little sticky that says I am enough. So I'm going to do it.
Did you watch that video?
Yes, I did. I really did. And enjoyed it very, very much.
Well, that's wonderful. And so that's the first thing, right? Just realizing that you are enough and whatever you do, and being content in that.
Yeah. And I think, like I say, sometimes with changes in life, you kind of get beat down to think maybe you're not enough or what you offer is not enough. When really there are people kind of starving to hear that you even feel that way because they feel that way. And often the thing is not so much the situation that you're in, but feeling like you're the only one who's in it.
I think most people are in it. They're just afraid to say it.
Exactly. This has been so enlightening.
So what was the most enlightening thing you learned today?
That I already have a niche. Yeah, that it was just, I mean, like I said, I can't believe you came up with that just from listening to me. It never occurred to me that those two groups would be interested and be a good starting place for me. Because I read that everywhere, find your niche, find your who's, and I'm thinking, oh God, everybody, nobody, you wrestle so much with that, but that was just, I don't know, that was just brilliant.
Well, so now you have your niche. Now you know where you're going. How do you feel about your purpose at this point? Do you have clarity?
Much better than I did before we started this, because I felt like I didn't have a clue about a purpose. But as I'm talking to you and thinking about moving forward with what we're talking about, it's like I've been living my purpose all along and just didn't know it. And so now if I focus and, like you say, build some strategies around delivery of information that I share anyway, it gives me a much better insight into who I am and what I can do.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how doable is this for you?
Oh, this is definitely at least an 8. Yeah, at least an 8. Probably close to a 10, but I guess I don't want to be overly ambitious. But yeah, definitely an 8.
So why didn't you say 7?
Because 7 seems kind of waffly to me. 8 just seems more firm and like we're going to get something done. And I feel like I'm going to get something done with this. Because even as we keep talking and I'm taking notes, you bring so many things to mind. Like I said, this is definitely a 10. I definitely can build the strategies and outline the information. That's a done deal. The conversations I can have, the outcomes I can't control, but the conversations I can have. So, like I said, in my mind, it would be a 10 as far as me doing my part. 8 instead of 7, like I said, just 8 just seemed more firm.
Okay. And you said something interesting, and I'm glad you acknowledge it. You can only do your part. You can't control other people. You can't control their outcomes. So the
Right.
job is to create as many things as you can control and go do it and keep doing it and keep showing up and keep taking the step. And eventually it all comes together and you get a little bit better every day.
I'm certainly going to do that. I can't believe, like I said, these last few minutes has really have made a difference.
Well, I'm glad I was able to help. There's another niche you have too. You can start helping people who are in their 60s and 70s start new directions in their life, because that's what you're doing.
I thought about that, but I guess when you see, I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm watching or how I got to this mindset. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only 60-year-old in the world with without as much retirement as I would like and no direction in my life and just living from day to day. Sometimes you feel like everybody else has it all together.
They don't. Most people don't have it all together. Most people make you think they have it all together, and their Facebook feed makes it look like they do. But the reality is, I think most people struggle. And that's why you have to have these types of conversations to say, help me get to the next step. Open up a door for me, open up another vision, and let's take a step forward.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is a really good door because I just did not envision what we've been talking about at all, and I don't know why, except that sometimes when you isolate yourself and you don't share where you are and what you're feeling, you tend to draw your own conclusions about the world and what's going on. So I am very much appreciative of you helping to steer me in a direction I probably should have been moving in anyway. But like I said, just kind of let life put up some roadblocks and I stopped looking over the wall and just stood still. But not anymore.
Well, that's awesome. So while we still have some time together, is there anything else that you'd like to chat about, talk about, or ask me about?
No, again, I want to thank you for steering me toward the video yesterday. What's her name? Marin here. I can't remember what her name is. But I really enjoyed listening to that and watched a few other videos of hers along with some other speakers. Couple of TEDx conference videos because, again, it just helps to know that you're not the only one sometimes. And I think that's where people get bogged down at. And I appreciate the work that you and people like you do, because whether you know it or not, like I said, I think it's making a world of difference and will continue to in my life moving forward, because again, just that quick. You just turned the light bulb on for me, and I don't know how else it would have gotten turned on without some external help.
And I think we all need that little spark, and everyone needs that little bit, and that's what the power of coaching is. The video that she's referring to, you can find it on YouTube. It's I'm Not Enough, and it's by Marissa Peer, Peer. I highly recommend that you all watch it. It's definitely a great video. So if there's nothing further, I guess we can wrap up here. You've got next steps to follow up on, and you'll let me know how that goes.
Yes, I will.
And
definitely
I will follow up with you on your questions on Social Security and we'll kind of go from there. And I am expecting great things from you, and I know you can do it, and I know you will.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your direction, your patience. I really appreciate it. Going to do my best not to disappoint.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that too. Today, we learned about the power of coaching and how one call can change your life. When you are ready, I am here. Mary didn't know what was going to happen, but after this chat, she knows where she's going. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.